Welcome to Career Choices. I'm your host, Elizabeth Gia. On this program, you'll meet accomplished individuals sharing their background, experience, and career path. Now, for the adults watching this show, let's see if you can relate to this experience. When you were young, your parents put you through music lessons, whether it's piano, violin, voice lessons, or maybe a band. Eventually, though, most of us don't continue on with the music as we become adults. Now, I can relate up to this point. But then there are a few who do keep going. They continue playing and learning and mastering their music well into adulthood. Music is something they deeply enjoy, and performing their craft becomes part of their regular life. But it still remains a hobby, or at best, a side gig. And then there's the cream of the crop. If a person is really super talented and dedicated, she can succeed in turning a musical passion into a full-blown career. Today's guest, Dr. Hui-Chuan Chen, is an accomplished career musician. Many audiences in the US, Europe, and Asia have heard her perform on the piano. She's a successful soloist, chamber musician, collaborative pianist, and educator. As a chamber musician, she's performed at the Kennedy Center, the Supreme Court, and of course, Carnegie Hall. And as a music educator, Dr. Chen currently serves on the faculty of UMBC, or University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Dr. Hui-Chuan Chen, thanks for being here today.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
I'm very excited to hear about your journey. So let's start from the top. Why did you start playing piano?
I start piano lesson approximately around 6 years old. And before that, but according to my mom, my music education actually started when I was only 2 years old. I was sitting in my older brother's piano group lessons, and then just eating cookie on the side. And I started the piano group lesson, the same piano group lesson at 4.5, and then soon after that, I started taking piano more seriously, having lessons. And then through the teacher's recommendation that I took audition for the special class for music talented kids in Taiwan.
Wow.
And then my career sort of starting from there.
So it sounds like you, like a lot of younger siblings, you admired or wanted to be like your brother. And then maybe you excelled.
True and not true. So at first, as a young kid, obviously I look up to my brother in many aspects, but music was not one of them.
Okay.
He was better at everything else but music. And I guess that's why I choose music to be my career, because I'm better at it.
Awesome. So talk to me about not only getting into piano at a very young age, but entering competitions.
Right. I don't have much knowledge for why I entering that. I had a very strict teacher when I was elementary school kids. So I was not from a musical family. When I entered into the special music talented kids, they have no clue on how to help me. Fortunately, my teacher was very strict, and so I was practicing at her house almost every day.
Wow.
She will pick up me and another of my colleague from school, and then we went to her place, and then we practiced together. We have lesson almost every day, and didn't realize how fortunate I was. And she was also the one who planned all the life plan as a elementary school kid for me at that age. So she tells my mom, this is the competition she should enter, this is the application, when is the deadline. She was super organized, and I'm really grateful for having such a wonderful teacher.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so how long or when did you say to yourself, I'm going to pursue this full-time as a career?
Actually, I don't think I realized I want to be a professional musician until much later of my life. Basically, when I was pursuing my doctoral degree at Peabody already. I have most of my education in Taiwan, all the way from elementary school, all the way through bachelor degree, and I came to Peabody Institute of the Johns Hopkins University for my master's and doctoral.
Wonderful.
And because of the educational system in Taiwan, that if you enroll in a music talented special class, that you have a better chance of getting an early acceptance to all the schools following up.
Wow.
And I was fortunate to be selected all the way through until university, so I never even thought of not doing music. I like it, but I didn't realize how much I love it until I came here. And then I was doing my master's degree, and it was through one of the performances that I had with my best friend, Kaya Brila. She's now working in New York as a violist and violinist.
Nice.
And it was through one of the performances, I had so much joy and satisfaction after our performance. Not that it was spotless, not that it was a perfect performance, but it was the sharing of music and enjoying the stage that persuaded me to become a professional musician.
It sounds like it's out of pure joy that helps to propel you forward every single time. Certainly not like some people. Maybe I speak from experience.
I can also relate to that, I will have to say. But there's some occurrence that push you towards that direction. So education system is one of them.
Yes.
The cultural background, and then also my parents' idea of what my life should be also relate to that. They both have government jobs. They have really solid and stable life in Taiwan. So they were expecting and hoping their kids, their son and daughters are going to have the same really comfortable and just peaceful life in a way.
Just like any normal child, they will go the opposite direction.
Yes, exactly. So I chose this adventurous road.
Yes.
And one of the interesting thing about music is people are afraid of it, because unlike many other occupations, that when you, so for example, if you go to law school, you can expect, okay, so a little bit closer, you do internship when you're still in law school.
Yes.
And
Practical.
afterward you can expect yourself doing interviews, get into a law firm,
Yes.
and then you become a partner of the law firm, and then you either have your own law firm or just stay in that job. But as a musician, there are so many different options you can do. You can be an educator, you can perform as a soloist, as a chamber musician, and I'm kind of a hybrid.
Yes,
I
think
choose everything. So I
have
do
a
teach,
wide
I
range.
perform. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So then let's talk about a little bit more about your obviously very accomplished list of prizes during competition. What is that like? I see that you have Wonderlic piano competition in Baltimore. You competed and won prizes in that.
Yes.
And also the Concerto competition of International Music Festival in Siena, Italy.
Yes.
How tough is competing, and what do you have to do to prepare?
Competition is obviously very stressful, and I decided to do it because it's sort of a goal that you set for yourself to persuade yourself to practice instead of just watching, let's say, any of the TV shows or movies you can imagine. And in terms of preparation for those, it's usually a long process. You decide the competition, you read the requirements, and usually for the competition I enter, they are on the small, medium E size. They are not Queen Elizabeth or Tchaikovsky competition. For those competitions, they are usually 3 or 4 rounds, and
Wow.
every single round has different repertoire. The competition I enter is more on the, you push yourself to practice more. So you prepare for one recital program, so approximately 60 minutes of music. So that's approximately 3 to 5 pieces, depends on what you choose. And I've obviously try to perfect it as much as you can. And what I really like to talk about is, so learning the notes, getting the rhythm, and then having lessons, try to make it really perfect is one way. But a little bit before the performance, I also tell this to my students whenever they're preparing for recital. You have to have a slightly different mentality when you're preparing for those things. So you have to put yourself in the worst situation when you run through the whole program.
Okay.
Because when we are on stage, it's very nerve-wracking. Right. So you try to prepare yourself. So you try to practice as much as you can. You try to run through it as much as you can, and then you try to put sometimes I try to run through pieces 2 times in a row. So which means probably 2 hours of time.
Wow.
And then when I'm really tired, so after probably like 8 to 10 hours of working, I go home and probably in my pajama and then just sit in front of the piano and try to run through pieces. So yeah, it was a long process, but I truly enjoyed it and I learned so much from it.
It sounds like you're not only performing for enjoyment, but this is to put you through maybe a emotional and psychological prep.
Yes, I do think music is not only just pushing down the key, especially for piano, it's not just pushing down the key, but not only just technical in terms of, like your posture and everything, but also it's a different language to share your thoughts and share the information you want to share with the people. And actually, Felix Mendelssohn, a really famous composer, he said it the best. He has a set of piano pieces called Song Without Words. Because, and in the introduction, he actually said the title of that set of pieces is that because he thinks music can communicate with people better than language. And I think he cannot say it better than any of that.
It's beautiful. And it sounds like you've obviously been on many, many stages and performed, competed. And you said it can be a little bit nerve-wracking or a lot. So do you get stage fright?
Oh, yeah, speaking of stage fright, yes! I get nervous all the time, and even now, if I'm speeding up in my talking, probably I'm also nervous. But I find being nervous as an excitement on stage. It gives you the adrenaline act. It does slow down a little bit on physical side because you don't act the same as normal. But at the same time, the excitement help me focus more on the music on stage, and I listen much better on stage as well. So I thought it was truly, I guess in a way you have to embrace the nervousness and then really using it as an advantage for you. But in terms of dealing with physical fatigue a little bit due to nervousness, I actually did something, according to my friends and my colleagues, a little bit crazy. I'm one of those that when I'm on stage, my hands stay freezing cold the whole time.
Wow.
So I could be playing, yes, it never warms up. I could be playing for 2 hours straight, nonstop, and my hand will stay freezing cold the whole time. And the funny thing is the second I finish playing the last note before I stand up, boom, you will feel this really warm sensation on your hand as if it's burning. Yeah, so it was a funny thing that it's not shared by everyone I know, but by some of my colleagues. So how I deal with it is if I have important performances, I put my hand in cold water right before the run through. So just basically put yourself in the worst situation you can before you go on stage and get used to it.
It's very dynamic. You live a very exciting preparation and performance life. So I want to hear more. But at this moment, we do have to take a quick break.
Okay.
So it's time to break, but we'll talk to Dr. Chen when she and I come back about her journey teaching music.
Packers.
Viking.
Packers.
Viking. Viking.
Red state, blue state, vegan,
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities,
Live
our families,
united.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Career Choices. In today's program, we've invited Dr. Hui-Chuan Chen, an accomplished career pianist and music educator. So I see you've been on the faculty of many institutions. Tell me about that musical career teaching music.
So when I grew up, obviously I took a lot of lessons and I look up to my teachers, but I feel so much pressure whenever I have to teach a student because I feel I'm responsible for their future. Yeah, so it stopped me from start teaching from a very early age. So I start approximately when I was 24, 25, instead of like many of my colleagues, they started when they were in college. So I started with a music institution in Hui-Marsh, all the way up in the Hui-Marsh area. Yes, and then that was my really start. And then I was fortunate to have a lot of students from different age groups. So the youngest one I had was 4.5, and then back then the oldest one I had was a girl who was only 15. So the range was pretty large, and that was a really good starting point for me to learn how to communicate with kids, and then what textbook to use for them, and then in the lessons, how do I see myself? Because I think with kids, I try to have conversations with them so they are not so scared and not so shy in lessons, and then willing to share their feelings and then share their thoughts with me. But at the same time, I need to keep a mentor figure so they don't, just hide underneath the piano any chance they got. And the second chance to teach was for the minor lessons at Johns Hopkins University. That was part of the requirement and mandatory, a really blessed mandatory for my doctoral degree at Peabody Institute. Nice. And it was truly a blessing to teach all those kids. A lot of my students, they have some basic music program, but it's the enthusiastic they have and their passion. And they are really intelligent students that I feel that the lesson is not just me teaching you, but in a way it's a discussion session. And I learned so much on how to communicate with a very intelligent person and how to teach in a way, because I can get the true first-time base feedback from them. So that was a truly treasure. I treasure that experience a lot. And then afterward, I teach briefly in Peabody Prep, but that didn't last long because I got a job with UMBC to teach there as a piano faculty. And then so far I'm still teaching there. I have quite a bit of students, and I use a lot of the experience I have from the Hopkins minor lessons and also the 5-year-old, surprisingly. Yes.
That's wonderful. So it sounds like you have a very full plate of teaching students. Then what about your other projects like performing yourself? How do you balance your time or juggle both of those worlds?
Right. So I think the balance between career, between like the time management, for the time management is probably the most difficult part of being a freelance musician. And I used to have 26 students. Wow. So with that amount of hours I have to teach, and plus the studio recitals, and plus some duties. For example, if you're involved in a school system, there's going to be juries and competitions you need to judge. So it was a lot of time. So performing was truly on the harder side, but I tried to keep a very active performing schedule, because I believe to be a teacher, to be a mentor for all kinds of students, it is very important that I still feel what they feel. So for example, when I ask them to do studio recital, the nervousness they feel, I can share my experience with them, and different experience with them along with my career as a performer. I feel that's very, very important. And also I feel by performing more actually improves my teaching, because I have different experience, different ideas for music. And sometimes when I'm teaching, I feel I should talking about the same issue with different ways. Otherwise, it somehow becomes a white noise. Yeah. So the balance between them, I feel it's a changing process, and it changes along with, like you will grow older. And now I got married only 3 or 4 years ago, so that was a drastic change in life as well. So I have cut down the student numbers to only 10 as of now because I want to have a little bit more freedom with when I want to have a vacation or how much I want to perform.
So that sounds like you have a very, very exciting life. It's never boring.
No, it's never boring. Sometimes it's a little bit too exciting, let me tell you.
So just for those watching, since this is Career Choices and you're sharing your career as a pianist, a soloist, a collaborative musician, chamber musician, now a faculty member, talk to me about compensation, or what is that like for an artist?
Right. So my career as of now, though I'm teaching at UMBC, I'm still not a full-time person, so I don't see myself completely just as an educator. And for a freelance musician, you are hourly. But then your hourly fee can range all the way from $30 an hour to $250 an hour. It really varies. And then as for a full-time faculty, a university job, I believe if it is a tenure track professor, then your salary can ranges from $45,000 all the way to $100,000. And I'm a pianist, but then for instrumentalists and woodwind players, there is actually a better choice, which is orchestra musician.
Oh, yes.
Right, so if you get in a good, really solid orchestra, your salary can range from $30,000 all the way to $150,000.
Wonderful. It sounds like at least there is a lot of potential.
Yes.
And so talk about now then, just from performing and teaching, any really, really bright moments or thing, like one specific moment or memory that really jumps out at you?
There are so many interesting things happen in my life. When I was working at Aspen as a staff, the first time I was there to really experience the wonderful environment of the place and to really be exposed to all those concerts and really seeing all the students I have that grow. I mean, there are so many things to talk about. But what I think, one of the really interesting things, granted, it's not that much music related, was my experience to play for the Sphinx. They have a reward ceremony, and then I happen to know one of the candidates who is going to be awarded, so I get to perform in the Supreme Court.
Yes.
For very briefly, but the experience including, all the process, like, before you go in, you need to send in your information, and then all the process before you get in, your car needs to be examined, and then like how you get into the hall. I mean, all that was just wonderful experiences and memorable.
Very quickly, Aspen. You said you worked at Aspen?
Yes. I was in Aspen as of now 3 times for the full festival. The first time I was there as a student, and I was as a fellow. So which means I was a student, but then I do have some scholarship help, and then at the same time I have to accompany people as working. And then I work as staff there 2 more times.
And this is where? Where is it located?
It's in Aspen, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Right, so it's an Aspen Festival and school.
Okay, wonderful. All right, well, now thank you so much for being here. We have run out of time, but if you had one very quick sentence to share with our audience and advice for becoming a musician, what would you tell them?
Music is my life. I don't see it as a career as much as anything else. For me, music is completely essential. It's like air around us. So I will encourage anyone who is interested in music. Yes, it is an adventurous road. When you are in it, you don't see where you are going, but trust me, everything is worth it because music is so beautiful, and I truly believe music brings world peace.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We really appreciate our guest, Dr. Hui-Chuan Chen, telling many stories and highlights of her career in music and as a pianist. So thank you for joining us. I hope her stories inspire and encourage you to explore different career choices and to make an impact on our community. If you have feedback or comments, or if you would like to share your experience, please email us at qip.career.choices@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time on Career Choices.